Hey, good evening, and how's it going, Bears fans? And welcome to this Monday night edition of the CHGO Bears After Dark, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. And like I said, how's it going, everyone? Will DeWitt, Mark Carman, Greg Braggs Jr., and things are a little bit different now. The season's over, but After Dark lives on, and instead of it being Monday night and Thursday night, we're all coming together here for Monday nights throughout the entire off season. I'm very excited about it. How about you guys?
Go ahead, Gregory. You're already in the chat.
The bash, bro. I was just like, I don't know. Now that we're coming together, Will, there's an added level of foolishness to the table when Mark's with me. You already got to put up with me. Now you got to put up with the combination of me and Mark. That's a very dangerous recipe, a recipe for disaster.
I got to say, Will, I did speak with upper management about this combo moving forward on Monday nights, and I highly advised against it. But both Kevin Kadick and Jake Flanagan, approved that we would all be hanging out on Monday nights for who knows? I don't know the rest of the time, damn it.
They knew, Will, that you could keep us in line. No one else can do it. Fights it every Sunday. Now it's your duty to keep us in line.
Mike's already asking in the chat how I'm feeling, so we can just get that out of the way. I'm feeling great. It was a rough morning. I'm sure everyone understands that after yesterday. Just
Will
being
in
jubilation will be the word I'm going to use this evening. I bet you couldn't have paid me enough money to think of that word yesterday evening. Because that's a big boy word right there. But no, I'm excited about this. We'll have Nick on in 30 minutes, and I like the challenge to kind of keep you guys in line. I feel like I got a lot of good practice with just brags throughout the entirety of the season on Monday, and built up a little bit of a tolerance, I would say. And I'm sure we're gonna gel in no time, guys.
Well, the video yesterday got some serious movement / love, and when I look back at the celebration after they got the number one pick, and you were there, Will, and the Texans somehow pull off the fourth down and then the 2-point conversion, and Greg Braggs is walking around the studio yelling brick juice.
The look on Corey, Corey, he's yell this, he's telling me. So I was delirious at that point. So I had no idea. When I looked back at that video, me shrieking like a little girl just made me laugh all day because it was genuine. And Will, when you called into the show, I just thought it was an epic moment because, you do such a great job as a reporter. We know this, but we all started out as fans. You're still a fan at the end of the day. And you felt that energy, that euphoria. You had to be there live. Like, that's what I live for. Like, this year has been such an unbelievable experience for me being in studio with some of the true professionals of Chicago sports media, but at the same time,
thank you.
I mean that, and you know that.
I know you do, but it's still here. It's odd to hear. Keep going.
Well, it's the truth. But Will, you know me. I live for being in the stands. That's what I live for. So for you to be there, Will, what was that moment like? We saw you after the game, but when they threw the Hail Mary in the 2-point conversion, what was that like for you? And what was that like just being in the stadium and the reactions of two fan bases potentially? I don't know how many Texans fans were there that either wanted them to win for some weird reason or were begging their team to lose.
Yeah, no, you're right. And like I said before the game, it felt like I was doing like a good public service duty of trying to explain to Colts fans why they actually wanted to lose that game, because they were all so confused why I was there, why I was cheering on the Texans. A lot of them just really came up to me. It's like, the Bears are in Chicago today, right? And but you have a levy thing. Like, do you know what year this is? But at that moment, towards the end of the game, when they hit, you mentioned, the Hail Mary and the 2-pointer, mostly people were upset. It was just like a lot of oh no, the Colts did it again, threw another one away, and just kind of boo-hoo and leaving the stadium. And I was just so surprised by that. There's even a kid by me who was very upset because it was his first Colts game that he went to. He had to be 11 years old or so, and just was upset that they lost. And his mom was like, hey, you said you're talking about earlier, there's actually a good thing about this. Can you remind him what that good thing is about this loss? And I said, hey, do you like the Texans? No. I was like, do you want them to get their quarterback of the future? Well, no. I'm like, well, that's what you just did by losing. You could potentially stop that from happening with the Bears taking over that first pick. So it's like a win-win, and he felt better for it. But yeah, no, Greg, it was a lot of people just upset by it, but I was, as you can tell, on cloud nine.
Yeah, I can only imagine the euphoria you were feeling personally. It is just funny that our DNA as fans. There's just some fans, like, even I tweeted during the game, I was kind of poking at some fans during the week, like, all right, who's rooting for the Bears this week? Because we all know the majority, 99.9% of us all knew the situation to root for the Bears to lose. But there's still this 5 or 6 fans that wouldn't let up and were like, I root for my team to win no matter what. And a lot of fans that go to the games, they don't care about draft implications. They just want to see their team win. It's just a funny dichotomy that, we put ourselves in this, or the NFL puts us in this position where at times it is beneficial to root for our team to lose. And that was one of them.
Well, but I think what Will's underlining here, which is tugging at my heartstrings right now on my first Monday Bears After Dark.
Oh boy.
It's the purity of being a kid and you just want to go to the game and see your team win. And you're not thinking about anything else other than I want to have a good time with my mom, with my dad, with my friend, with whoever.
Yep.
And see him win. Like, we're very, very sophisticated fans here. We're rooting for the tank and all that stuff. It's like there's just a purity to what your name. Like, hey man, I'm going to the game. I want a pennant. I want a souvenir cup, and I want to see the Colts win. And I don't care about some Texans quarterback and drafts and whatnot. That's awesome. I enjoy that. There were the Bears fans yesterday. I went out to Soldier before, the pregame show, and there was what's the highlight of your season? Like one person who was just sitting on the bench and like taking pictures and texting on her phone before she's like, this is my first game this year. And she wants to see the Bears win a football game. Like she doesn't care about whether or not they're going to somehow miraculously luck into some great trade and they're going to win the Super Bowl in 3 years that we have no idea if that's going to happen or not. I get that we're in a way better position. We all celebrated it, but there was just, I don't know. There's a purity of like, I'm going to the game, I'm going to have fun, and I don't think about anything else other than that. And that's maybe actually how sports should be consumed.
Well, and that's why the NBA does it right. They do a lottery system. They don't reward you in the same way for being the worst team in football or in basketball, I should say. And maybe the NFL needs to consider a lottery system. I've heard that there's whispers that will become a reality in the next couple of years, but you just never know with the players versus the league agreements in that scenario. But if it was one of the last few times the Bears finally got under the wire and got that number 1 pick, obviously, if we're doing vibe checks like we normally do week to week, I could not be more excited. This was like winning the Super Bowl yesterday. I've just been in such a great mood all day this morning. I just still like the word is miracle. We as Bears fans had a miracle happen to us, and we get to enjoy this all off season. Yeah, Cubs fans, Bears fans, as me as it's always about the off season, never about the regular season. But you know what? This one is more special than probably any other off season of any team I've ever rooted for, and I can't wait to follow it along, cover it here, and everything else we're going to be doing.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and it is interesting like how things can change. I remember the last time the Bears were just really bad, that 2016 season that led to like the Mitch pick. And even at that point in my life, like I was like, no, don't, like, we want to see them win. I want to see improvement. Like I was dead set on that. And I don't know what's changed over the years, just watching some teams who have that pick, trade it, and all the capital that comes with it and how they can retool a roster and just kind of seeing it from that perspective. But I surprised myself this year of how much I was kind of rooting for the tank towards the second half of the season. And when we just started barely talking about it, and I remember, what was it, 6 weeks ago, Greg? I need to pull the clip up when he told me, don't root for the Texans to win these games. There's no way the Bears can land a number 1 pick. They're not going to win. And here we are, a miracle, like you said.
Truly. And you know what? It's like, the reason it's just, I think you come around to the idea is just to see so many times where we've fallen short, a pick here or a pick there. Aaron Donald's the one that stands out to mind most recently.
Yeah.
We ended up getting Kyle Fuller with the very next pick. And if we just, we'd won a couple meaningless games. I mean, we've had it in other sports where the Bulls have screwed around in a year where Luka Doncic and other players that are very good in this league were available. We've experienced this so many times where we're just winning against our own cause, our own benefit. And I think as you get older, you kind of understand the better good, the bigger picture. But I understand fans that hate that mentality, that loser's mentality. But at the same time, Terry Bradshaw, the coin flip. I mean, you still have old time Bears fans that talk about that to this day. And that's what yesterday was. It was a coin flip. It was a coin flip for who's going to get the second and the first pick. No, we're not taking a generational quarterback like Terry Bradshaw or Peyton Manning. At the same time, it has immense value. So very excited to see what we do with it.
It's going to be an off season to remember. It really is. So, Mark, what is going to be? Let's just kind of get into the official vibe check. How are you feeling here? A day and a half. I know you already had a show earlier this afternoon, but I'm just curious how you're feeling.
I mean, it is. It's for some reason like right now. I'm vibing right now. Let's just check in with my vibe. I've never vibe checked before. I think it's a weird feeling, right? Like the season's over. We're in this trend. We're sort of transitioning. It's been, just for myself personally, you coming over to CHGO, starting running through the season, and now okay, that's done. The season's over. We can take stock on, that experience. And now we're really like moving into this extremely important time for the Bears, and just a different workflow. And also, like, it was odd being out at Halas Hall today, just on the football side of it. Like, guys are packing up and they're getting out the door, and it's like it's real life. They got their boxes, and they're dudes are not going to be they're not going to be in there anymore. Like, some will be back, some won't. I was walking through and Nicholas Morrow's sitting by himself. He's having lunch up against, like, just looking out the window, and he was first class all the way. So I just walking by him, I just thanked him for all his help and whatnot. And there was like the real life side of it. It's like there's and I said to Tevin, I'm like, how does what does it feel like for you guys? What's it like in this experience? They're like, oh, thank God the off season's here. Let me get some rest. I've been pushing and grinding for 6, 7, 8 months. And he's like, that was kind of the feel last year, because it was such a, when is Matt Nagy going to get fired? And it's the 1-year anniversary coming up tomorrow to, that happening. So, which, Kevin alerted us to, or alerted me to. I had forgotten that it was 1 year to the day tomorrow. And so it was just a totally different. This, I feel like there's sort of unfinished business. Like, these dudes, there's a totally different vibe going on to the vibe question that, hey, even Justin Fields on the field yesterday with the sunglasses on, dude wants to be playing. He didn't want to end his season like that. So it almost feels like let's hurry up and wait, but let's hurry up and go and get back at it and see what this team can do going forward.
I guess one question I would have for you,
back
Mark.
there.
No, yeah, they're on the TCU on the goal line here, down 10-0 to Georgia. Certainly be interested on 3rd and 1, so it'd be interesting to see if they can punch this in.
They did,
as they do. Duggan runs it in, so that's good. We all want a ball game here tonight. But the one question I had for you, Mark, being in the locker room, you guys talked about this a little bit on the afternoon show, was when we talk about a vibe check, the vibe of the locker room was uplifting. And some of the videos you guys shared, you and Nick sharing from the locker room, you can hear laughing in the background. And you've said many a times, you and Adam have been in locker rooms where it's quiet, like it's a funeral because Lovey's getting fired, or they understand the end is here. But I heard a lot of like laughing and joyfulness. And the question I have for you is, you said on the afternoon show today, they all understand what this year was all about. They talk about the quarterback, and they understand they weren't going to win many games. And that's good that they've built this culture. They played hard, but they also may have understood that they weren't going to win many games. At the same time, now when you fast forward to next year and the mentality of the fan base, the expectations of the media is going to be completely different than it is this year. Is he going to be able to is Eberflus going to be able to transition that mentality to where these players now understand, okay, last year was a trial run. now it's money on the table time.
I don't think he has to really do a whole lot of legwork on that one, Braggs. Like I think these dudes are tired of losing. Fields had his moment in the Commanders game with the, I'm tired of getting close. I love all the concern for Will. Look at Will. He's 100% enrolling. Not even an ounce of left over from his trip down into yesterday. Maybe an ounce. I don't know. You look good to me. But so these guys, right? They don't want to lose, and not only that, they're like Tevin Jenkins was asked today about hey, do you feel like basically that you're good, that you'll be back and you'll be starting? He's like, I have no idea. They got $8 zillion to spend. They got all these draft picks. He didn't say this part of it, but I was in and out of the lineup some. At the beginning of the season, they demoted me. And then they brought me back and said, hey, you're going to be a guard. And I had to prove that to him. He doesn't know exactly what they think, So, but my point is that they're all fighting for their livelihoods, and the way to make that more secure is by winning games and playing well. So this is, I don't think any of them are coming in like, oh yeah, we're fine for another year of just hanging out as, Fields figures this out for real. And, nobody can expect us to turn from 3 wins to 10, 11 wins and get in the playoffs. Although, hey, Jacksonville won 3 games last year. They're in the playoffs. So there's one recent example.
And my motto of tweet, don't think. And I took every ounce of my energy this morning not to put out some tweet about worst to first. That's all I could think about. I was like, are we going to be the first team ever?
They're thinking about it too.
#1 in the draft and then go all the way to the damn Super Bowl. Miracles happened yesterday. So I'm all in on these miracles, but I understand that is will probably, be a miracle that doesn't happen. But at the same time, a boy can dream.
I like it though. You went from, like I said, a month and a half ago of no, I can't, nothing's ever possible. And now this miracle happens. And now you're just already thinking that far down the line. See, I still am very upset that I picked this team to win 11 games and they won 3. And so I am using this off season to learn to be a little bit more cautiously optimistic and not talk myself to that point by August, although I fear I will yet again.
Well, yeah, yesterday out at Soldier, hey, there's George McCaskey. What's up, George? Hey, dude, it's so awesome. All these Bears fans are talking. They're so optimistic. They're absolutely in on the way you guys are going about your business in this rebuild. They love the Flus. They love Poles. They love your quarterback. Super Bowl 2025. George McCaskey, what about 2023? What about, he's like, 25 is fine as long as we're going for a back-to-back after winning it in 2024. So, and he's, being positive, but there's also you think that dude wants to wait around with his mom who's 100 years old for 3 years down the line they're going to be good? They got to build this the right way, but there is a huge desire to get this thing done as quick as possible.
And I believe 7 teams that didn't make the playoffs last year made the playoffs this year. We see this every year in the NFL, even before the restructuring of how many teams make the playoffs that they've had the last couple of years. Even before that, it was always there was always a number of teams that went from either worst to first in their division or teams that didn't make the playoffs that do. The turnarounds in NFL, they don't take that long. The Cincinnati Bengals picked 3 in the draft, right? Or so, I know it was top 10, and they ended up getting to the Super Bowl with Ja'Marr Chase. It's not out of the realm of possibility, and will to help you out when it comes to the predictions. I think preseason predictions are just so silly because the context behind there's no context. You don't know the injury momentum or injury variables. There's so many different things. The week to week is where it really is where you can kind of put your bread and butter. I mean, Hogue picked 9. You picked what? You said 11, or that's high. I heard a few people saying that. I picked 7, but you know what? 7 is hedging. I mean, 7 is hedging. Let's call it for what it is. They can win 8, and now I don't look as stupid just because I sat right there on the fence. Now, the ones that said 3 wins, there was a lot of national prognosticators. They hit it. Louis Riddick's out there pulling receipts last night. Hey, he deserves it because he got dragged by Bears fans, and we can be relentless on Twitter. Have your victory lap if people are going to come at you like we did in the preseason. Now, to the point of people that pick 10 wins, yeah, it's a pie in the sky look at it. But at the same time, they won 3 games and 7 of their losses. They easily could have won those games. Every game is a coin flip game. So, I had one friend going, well, if you just picked them to lose every week, because I ended up being 13-4 on the season picking them. That's great. I'm very happy for that, especially with all you guys who I consider much smarter football analysts than I am. I'm the meatball, and I wear that shirt proudly here at CHGO. But at the same time, if you pick them to lose every week, they're 3-13. You go 14-3 on the season. Well, how many games were decided by the smallest of margins? Picking that Commanders game is not easy. Picking the Patriots game is not easy. So, everybody's got their opinions on how you pick or what your predictions are. Well, put your opinions and your predictions up against it and put your name on it and see how easy it is. It's not that easy.
Hey, to Sarah's last comment, when you guys were watching last night, were you rooting against the Packers?
Oh, you think I was awake when I got home last night?
Okay.
Yes.
If you had been awake, if you were watching, what do you think you would have been doing? How's that?
Oh, I would have been hoping for the exact outcome that happened last night, and that was the Lions taking down the Packers. It was when I woke up and I saw that and I watched how it even unfolded. Oh, that helped me get through my morning a little bit more easily. That, and of course, knowing that number 1 pick is still ours. But yeah, no, I was very excited that the Lions were able to just take one and
what a balls call by Dan Campbell on 4th and 4 instead of taking the field goal to go up 7. Packers have 1:14 left with no timeouts. They'd have been up 7, had to do the length of the field, score the touchdown, which hey, they may have done. But if you don't get that 4th down, now they're only down 4, and Aaron Rodgers go win the game.
Answer the question. Was there any part of you that was like, I'd like to see Rodgers in the playoffs because I want the drama?
No. I mean, for me personally, I'm ready for this guy to retire. I've been predicting that he will. Nobody believes me. Carman Vitale's been telling me how silly I am. Hey, in the post-game pressers, I understand he's a drama guy, but he loves to, tip his toes into the drama a little bit, but it's going to happen sooner or later. And I just see a guy that is kind of over this whole thing. I don't think he cares about the money. He's in a different situation than Tom Brady. Yeah, Tom Brady reassessed and came back and played. I think he's in a totally different mind space than the way Tom Brady is. He doesn't have a family like Tom does. To me, it's more about his personal happiness. I think he'd much rather go do podcasts where he talks about, spiritual awakening and do Jeopardy 60 times a year than do the rat race of NFL football. But we'll see.
I shouldn't shake my head. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. He does have to retire at some point. However, he's got $50 million out there. And as much as I love doing this podcast with y'all, I'd rather be an NFL quarterback, even if I had done it for 20 years. So I have a hard time believing he'll walk away, but maybe he will. Maybe he will.
It would be terrible for the Packers. So I'll admit that that's part of my bias of hoping this prediction goes right, because then they'd have the next 3 years of extreme dead cap money still paying Aaron Rodgers, and it would completely drown them. So I'm rooting for that scenario. I'm not going to lie.
Another miracle that Greg is rooting for this offseason. I personally have gotten my hopes up hearing that, the rumors every single offseason, it feels like over the last 3-4 years, like, is this it for Aaron? He may be done, or at least not. If he's not retiring, maybe he's going to a different team. And then he always comes back and he always beats the Bears. So I can't wait for that day, like all of you guys. But as of right now, I think I'm going to have to see it before I believe it. And after what Tom Brady did, I feel like we're going to have to let it sit even a little further after an announcement's made before I even get myself super excited.
I mean, remember the day we got tricked the biggest? It was on draft day, the day we drafted Justin Fields. Adam Schefter came out with a report that he was done. He was no longer going to play with the Green Bay Packers. He was refusing. And that just felt like that was one of those Super Bowl days, because we got the morning story of Aaron Rodgers never wants to play for the Packers again. And then somehow we get Justin Fields. It was like, what is happening? And that's kind of how yesterday felt.
Let me address this comment by Thomas. What kind of Bears fan wants the Packers to ever win a game? let me explain myself. Number one, what was the greatest moment for you? Will, who do you root for baseball wise?
I'm a Sox guy.
Okay, so fair enough. Let me put this to Braggs because it's more germane to my point. What what was your favorite moment as a Cub fan?
Obviously.
Outside of winning the World Series.
I know where you're going with this, so I'll just placate to you because I can name a bunch that don't have to do with beating the Cardinals, but certainly when one of the games that I always regret not being in the stands for was when the Cubs hit 7 home runs in one game in the playoffs against them. And Schwarber hit it on the damn on the Trinitron on the roof, and Dennis Eckersley goes, "What in the world?" And it was just one of those changing of the guard moments.
Right. You tell me you wouldn't want that for, Bears Packers. I mean, I don't know what would be down the line for a White Sox on that side, Will, other than just kicking the Cubs' ass. And I mean, I would assume one of your favorite moments of recent note was when Eli put one in the bleachers, and these White Sox fans have invaded Wrigley Field and are just absolutely owning the night. That was a sweet night to be a Sox fan. And it just, look, he is running around Soldier Field saying, "I own you." Let's kick his ass. Let's go up there and win. Let's have the changing of the guard and then send him off the field. Having the Detroit Lions do it for us. Yeah, that's and then he just decides that he's going to retire when it's not overly obvious that, hey, we kicked your ass and you are not climbing this mountain above us anymore. We are locked and loaded, and we got Justin Fields. That would feel so much sweeter. That's where I'm coming from. You're on mute, Will.
I don't even know how I got on mute. I don't know if there's like a shortcut button. Regardless, in that specific situation, I can get behind you on that, to like be able to give him the beating that he's given us, to make him know that time is up. No, that would be a lot of fun to kind of experience too.
Yeah, I get it. Beating the Packers in 2018 to win the division.
I know where you're going, Carman. I'll placate you.
Because I could have said the NLCS Game 6. I was at that game with my mom, so I could have said that, and this took the thunder of the point you're trying to make. I totally get the point you're trying to make because it's the correct point. Yes, theoretically, if Aaron Rodgers wants to stay, and next year the Bears are this worst of first team, and we beat their face in, and we get to do the I own yous to Aaron Rodgers and the Green. There would be, and their fans, there would be nothing more sweeter. So I get it.
NLCS Game 6 is a better answer. You're absolutely right. You should have said that. That was the greatest moment in Wrigley Field history. That was awesome. Yeah.
You want to talk about one time like that? I can't wait for that moment as a Bears fan when we all walk to the stadium and we know we're going to win. Not this club dub 2018 playing the Eagles like, man, I love this team. I hope we don't lose today. No, that team, I just feel like in Chicago, it's so rare since Michael Jordan that we have teams where we're like, we know we're going to win this. And every once in a while, you'll have one of these teams come around. The Blackhawks had it. The Sox had it for a moment. Cubs had it for a moment. And I just cannot wait. I know it in my heart that there will come the day that the Bears have this team where it's not a question in our heart or in our mind anymore. And we're going to know that they're going to win the Super Bowl. It's going to feel great.
It's reminded me of how I felt back in 2006 as a kid. And that was like a sky high moment as a Bears fan, just going in every week, knowing that defense is going to dominate the opponent. Right. The offense, we'll see what happens with Rex and then the ground game. But you just knew like Devin Hester was going to pull off some miracle return and just do something ridiculous. That was a fun era because every week you just knew like the Bears were going to go out there and hand someone,
especially the Devin Hester aspect. And Mark Carman hates Devin Hester, so he's not allowed to talk during this. I'm kidding. But
as the elder statesman on the show, I can tell you that in 1985/86, you woke up Super Bowl morning. I remember it vividly. There's no way they're losing.
Right.
That's how it felt. And then Peyton fumbled and it was 3-0. And I was like, oh my God, is this like, there's no way. But you were nervous. You were nervous for a hot second. And it was like, okay. Yeah.
And conversely, for our 2006 Bears that got to the Super Bowl, I felt nervous that whole 2 weeks leading up. We're playing Peyton freaking Manning. I almost would have preferred to play the Patriots that year because we had lost to them in a close game. And I was like, okay, we'll get to play them in a rematch. It's hard to beat a team twice. And the Patriots got upset by the Colts. And I was like, damn it, we got to play Peyton Manning. It just wasn't a great matchup. So I didn't feel good going into that game. But then Devin Hester returned the opening kick. So it was like the
Mhm.
reverse of 85. Now all of a sudden I'm all in. They battled their asses off that whole game. And I was, dreaming of something that I didn't think we could do against Peyton Manning, hold him to 1 touchdown and 1 interception. I mean, Devin Hester had as many touchdowns in that game as Peyton Manning did. I mean, if you'd have told me that before the game started, but it wasn't meant to be. But we're going to get there. And we're going to get there while we're all here as a family at CHGO Bears.
Well, I know Nicholas Moreano is going to be hopping on in a moment, and we have a couple of messages we have to share. But before we do all of that, I just want to let everyone know, since the national championship game is going on right now, and I'm waiting for an update. Is it still 17-7? That's what my screen tells me.
Yep.
All right. But I did come out with an article over the weekend of 10 players that you should be watching. Now, I'm not going to sit here on this show and go through all the players. Jalen Carter, Quentin Johnston. But just go ahead, head over to allchgo.com and give this article a look at the same time you're watching this game. That way, hey, this is a player that the Bears could potentially draft. There's offensive tackles, there's centers, there's guards, there's a safety, a tight end, a running back, some defensive linemen in the later rounds. Definitely check it out so you know who you should be watching for the rest of this game after our show ends.
It's a great job by you, and it's like the essence of what this offseason is. Let's learn the ins and outs of everybody literally that they might be going after. I can't wait to do my own deep dive on some of these guys.
It's going to be a lot of fun when we get to the combine here in just a little bit. There's at one point yesterday when I was inside Lucas Oil, like I may as well just stay here until the combine starts. Like I'm already here. That's where my mind was after all of that. My first pick secured. What else I got to lose? I can just sit here in Lucas Oil and just play the patient game. But all right, we're going to bring on Nick in a moment. But first, I want to let you know about Shady Rays. Shady Rays never understood why sunglasses were so expensive, so they set out to change it. You don't have to break the bank for quality sunglasses because our friends at Shady Rays have you covered. They are premium polarized shades. They feature world-class optical clarity, substantial durability, and styles catered to everyone and every lifestyle. I literally have my Shady Rays that I bought 4 years ago, and they are still in like really great condition. And even with that strong protection program, they still manage to make quality. And like I told you, they are as good as any other expensive pair that I've ever worn. And customers seem to agree with over 200,000 5-star reviews. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is running their deepest deal of the season. Use code CHGO for 50% off 2 or more pairs at shadyrays.com. That's buy one, get one free. You can get 2 pairs for as low as $54. Redeem only at shadyrays.com, where you can find all of their newest and best shades.
And I also want to tell Mark Carman, as he's wearing his Shady Rays, the double ray X-ray vision there from Shady Rays from Mark Carman. But I also want to tell you about Chi-Town Custom Cornhole, the #1 cornhole provider for Chicagoland and Illinois since 2007. Their signature box style design can be digitally printed, covered in vinyl, and painted. Their cornhole boards come with built-in drink holders, recessed in on the back, LEDs that light up the hole, and exterior handles for easy carrying, and handcrafted scorekeepers. They're veteran-owned and operated. They can ship anywhere and offer local pickups, specializing in corporate designs for your company's next marketing or social event, wedding gifts, and gifts for all occasions, and especially for tailgaters and backyard barbecues. So go check out their website, ChiTownCornhole.com, and make sure to follow them on Instagram at Chi-Town Custom Cornhole Boards.
Awesome stuff, Greg. Let's throw Nick on the screen and let's have him join us to discuss really. I knew you were going to wear those. I knew they were going to be on your face. What's up, Nick?
What's going on, everybody?
Future's so bright. You guys got to wear some Shady Rays.
Ooh.
I can't actually see the screen with because they're so polarized, you guys. Like it blinds the screen. So fortunately, I got to take out the Shady Rays. I saw Mark, you were rocking both. That's different.
Hey, I keep them at home because I don't trust Braggs. If I in the office, he might steal my Shady Rays. And then
I have my own 2 pairs sitting right here. Thank you very much.
There you go. There you go. Nick, you look good, brother. What was your? I just want to know how you were feeling in that locker room today. It was an odd day, I thought.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was my first ever, locker room clean out day, but there wasn't many people there, Mark. Like there was more people on the Friday, and Fridays at Halas Hall. For those who don't know, there's nobody on Friday. It's a ghost town on Friday. There were more people on the Friday than there were actually today. So it was interesting just getting to talk to, the few players that we got an opportunity to talk to, but like, scrounging around Justin Fields at his locker while he's just finishing eating a sandwich, and then, going to maybe David Montgomery over to the left there while there's everyone just throwing all their shoes and stuff in bags and, essentially getting out of Halas Hall and going to do whatever they're going to do. But first time being a part of that, but I kind of wish there was a couple more. I would have loved to hear from Darnell Mooney, just to see how he's doing. I do know that he's going to be working out in the area. Spoke to someone a little bit later who knew about like what he was doing with the rehab process. So it's good to hear. But yeah, it was empty, unfortunately.
So before I get into like more of your takeaways from today, Nick, I want to take one step back, because when we started the show, the guys were asking me about like the atmosphere and the vibe at Lucas Oil as the game kind of unfolded. And I didn't get to connect with you yesterday. I have not watched the game. So I just wanted to know, A, what was the vibe like throughout the game? And I also want to know, was Velus Jones Jr. as good as the box score says he was? I saw like 150 total yards between kick returns, rushing, and receiving. And I saw the touchdown highlight earlier today. And then any other things you think I should know from that game? Because I didn't watch it. I don't plan to watch it, but I will trust you with whatever you want to tell me.
Yeah, you're not going to miss much, but Velus had a pretty good day. It was encouraging. Like, there wasn't a lot to actually watch for on the field, but that's probably one of the guys, right? Being a 3rd-round draft pick. So he did have a pretty good day, but I can tell you this, it felt like a preseason game. Just in terms of the number of people that were there, the empty seats throughout the stadium, the players actually on the field. Like when you see Greg Stroman, starting at cornerback, Tim Boyle, Nathan Peterman, like this is a glorified preseason game in week 18. And then you have the Minnesota Vikings after the first half, they're resting their offensive starters. Like that's what it felt like. And I can tell you this, when it was that Colts Texans game, half the reporters stayed up in the press box, even though the locker room was about to open up, just watching the end of that. And that was the most exciting thing by far in terms of what actually happened in that game. So it felt like a preseason game. It looked like a preseason game, but it was week 18. So if that answers the question, I think it was a lot more exciting, Will, where you were at, and it looked like you had a good time too.
Yeah, I had a good time. Yes. Everyone's been all about it in the chat already. I was jubilant. I was euphoric, as Greg was saying. All right, let's get back to today, though. Halas Hall, you mentioned not a lot of people there, but that I think helps, because then you get more opportunity to speak with the people who are at least around some of the players, and you get to pick their brain a bit, see what's going on. And I know you wrote an article earlier today about Justin Fields needing to be the catalyst for this team moving forward into 2023 in order to be successful. So I'll just open the floor to you. What should we know out of Halas Hall today that you want to share with us?
Yeah, let's kind of just stick with Justin Fields, and, Mark, you probably attest to this too, but, just hearing that, obviously with the Bears having the number 1 overall pick and all this cap space, like he wants to obviously work on, just being a better quarterback, but also it was interesting hearing that, he also wants to do whatever he can do in terms of recruiting. And he said right after he got done with our conversation with him, he's going to have that conversation with Ryan Poles about what he can do as the quarterback of this team to recruit guys to come to want to play in Chicago. Because if you look at, the Bears from the surface, what are you looking at in terms of something that's attracting you to this location? If you're a free agent, it's going to be the quarterback, and obviously all the assets that they can bring in, but you got to look at that first. So hearing Justin Fields say that, I think that's exactly what you want to hear from your quarterback. And now going only into year 3, he kind of carries himself like a veteran in terms of what he needs to do, what he wants to do off the field, but also that aspect of it, which is now a part of his job. He's a part of this with Ryan Poles in trying to attract free agents. And, I think that was encouraging to hear from Justin Fields. And then in terms of just other things, he's pretty generic in what he wants to work on. Wants to work on everything. Wants to work on being a better quarterback in all areas. So you're not going to really get too much out of that, but he did mention his relationship with Luke Getsy, how, that's been blossoming, and, this is only his first year with him. So that's why he's optimistic about year 2 in his offense. He goes back to the end of October to mid-November, where they're scoring 30 plus points. And he points to that section of the season as being why he's optimistic about what this offense can do with Luke Getsy and, just himself moving forward. But in terms of other takeaways from Justin Fields, I asked him what his favorite moment was of the season. Goes back to week 1, that torrential downpour, 49ers said it was like a movie, just being a part of that. But, that was his big takeaway, his big, moment that he thought the splash moment, I think is exactly how he phrased it all the way back in week 1. But yeah, Justin Fields is, I think, just eager. Also, kind of sounds like after you take some time away to get back into things and, just continue working on himself, because that's what QB1 does.
It's interesting to hear him talk about recruiting and, how guys would look at that. Your top wide receiver catching the football this year was Darnell Mooney. In 12 games, he had 493 yards. Hey, how'd it go for you coming over here, Dante Pettis? Well, I had 19 catches for 245 yards. What about you, Chase Claypool? You think you're a number 1 wide receiver this game? Yeah, it was weak. I finished the year with 140 yards receiving with the Bears. Byron Pringle, you left Kansas City. What'd you do? 135. How about you, N'Keal Harry? 116. You want to come here on a prove-it deal to try to, up your stock? That's a hard sell. Now, the other side of it's like, well, look at these guys. They're all, if you want to look, if somebody looks at it like, he just needs some help and I can be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, it is interesting trying to sell like, hey, and maybe I don't look like that it's on Fields, but the dude's got no protection. He can't give me the football.
Well, Mark, real quick, I know you're making your point, and you can, poke fun at Dante Pettis all you want there, but like all of his stats that he put up this year were the best he's had since his rookie year in 2018. And I'm again, the threshold is low, but the fact that he was able to kind of have a mini resurgence to his own kind of, degree and pedigree there, to me, it says something. And that's playing with different quarterbacks. And that's a guy who's missed so many games. And he's able to stay healthy, be out there on the field. Again, 41 targets is almost a career high for him too. He had 45 as a rookie, but again, that was 2018. It's been a long 4 years for him, kind of in like no man's land. And he kind of came back a little bit this year. Now, is he a wide receiver too? No, but he could be someone that, you can look at, and I don't know if you say Justin made him better, but Justin did allow him to have statistically his best season in 5 seasons.
That's incredibly fair. And if you ask Dante, I think he was one dude that was always smiling in that locker room. I think he really enjoyed being a Chicago Bear. So that would add on to your point. Byron Pringle, I mean, he was hurt, but he was targeted 60 times last year, and I don't think Byron Pringle's calling around the NFL saying like, come on over here. I got 16 targets and we won 3 games. That but he had his own issues that went along with his year, clearly.
But that's why the argument can be made that the Chase Claypool move wasn't as bad as it now looks to a lot of Bears fans, because the free agent market is thin. You don't know who you can convince to come here via free agency, and you don't know how this trade back potential scenario in the NFL draft, where you can acquire maybe an additional first round pick and get one of these top flight wide receivers in the first round. After that, it's a free for all in the second and third rounds. You don't know who's going to fall to you there. So for all the people that are out on Chase Claypool, I'll remind you, Velus Jones did finish the season strong, very strong. Not just the last game. He finished the season strong the last few games. Yeah, and Will, if you go back and watch the game, I don't know why you would, but at the same time, I know you're detail oriented, so you probably will. He had a really nice back shoulder catch that is like part of a route tree of a serious wide receiver. Not, the touchdown is great. We all know he can do that, but the back shoulder down the sidelines covered, makes a really nice contested throw or catch, was a really big moment for him, I felt like. And oh, by the way, Chase Claypool is younger than Velus Jones. So if you feel like, oh, Velus showed up at the end, I feel better about him now. Well, Chase Claypool is younger. So if you're out on Chase and he has an NFL resume that has impressive seasons within it. So I'm not out on Chase Claypool. I liked the attitude he brought here of this. Hey, I'm not going to accept losing. We should all want those kind of dogs in that locker room. So I like that he said he's going to go work out with Justin Fields. He better, right? And if the Bears can, my hope is the Bears can trade back with a team that has an additional first-round pick and use that additional one to draft another wide receiver that could potentially be your one, which opens everything up for that room with Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, and then an additional first-round wide receiver. And then you have Velus Jones being pushed down the depth chart where you can really get value out of him. I think that's the best case scenario. I think it's clear as day the Bears are going to spend big money on the offensive line. So, I guess, it takes two to tango. We need players to agree to come here, but I definitely think money talks when it comes to the NFL. And I think there'll be plenty of players lining up, looking forward to blocking for one of the up and coming rising stars of this league in Justin Fields.
Was it Justin Jones that had some good comments about Fields being like that team's quarterback? Like, we know we have our guy. And I think, for Justin Jones to come to Chicago this year and to be saying that publicly to the media will speak volumes to potential free agents coming into Chicago. It doesn't matter if they're offense or even players on defense. Like, if you have this guy who goes up against Justin in practice every single day throughout the week, and he's saying that and he's seen what he's seen this season out of him, I'm sure that's going to get a lot of people excited to come here if the Bears are interested in bringing them in. And of course, the deep pockets aren't going to hurt that whatsoever too. Nick, was there anything else from today that you wanted us to know?
Yeah, real quickly on like Tevin Jenkins, how he's doing. He was asked about like his neck and where he's at with that. Said it's feeling better. Doctors told him it's going to take time to heal. And actually, Adam Hogue asked them, will this be like a long-term thing? And from what the doctors relayed to Tevin Jenkins, that wasn't the case. It's just going to be something about strengthening the neck, doing some Pilates. Maybe we'll have to all take a Pilates class, you guys, and see how it kind of will help strengthen the core and ultimately help out Tevin Jenkins there. But he was also asked to describe the year that he had, because he was playing some pretty good football at guard, a new position that he hadn't played before. So he said he was very happy how he played, considering this was his first year at the position. The only thing that really disappointed him that he mentioned was that he couldn't finish the season. Being out with his brothers, he said he couldn't finish the season due to the injuries. But in terms of what he was able to actually do on the field, he said it exceeded his expectations. And the Bears decided, hey, let's do this again with Tevin Jenkins if he can stay healthy. I do expect him to take another jump at that right guard position. He did do some good things, showed his physical presence, the thing that got him drafted in the first place by the Bears and the last regime. So I think that will be something to just monitor. But he also said too, like, he knows that the Bears have a lot of capital. They obviously have the first overall pick, so he won't say that he technically has like a home, because he doesn't want to put himself in that position. Oh yeah, I'm good to come back next year, and they draft another offensive lineman and take a spot. So he's just kind of bracing himself for what can happen. And I think Tevin Jenkins has kind of always been like that ever since the beginning of the season, not knowing the trade rumors and things like that. But yeah, that's kind of the update on Tevin Jenkins there.
Very likable Tevin. Very likable Justin Jones. Justin Jones, I thought had a great influence in that locker room this year. Both those guys, really. But I think Justin even maybe a little bit more, just his veteran leadership.
We know all about your crush with Justin Jones.
I do. I crush him. I crush Tevin. I crush a lot. I crush Komet.
You crush a lot of people.
I like that locker room, man. It's Nick, you can speak to it. It's hard not to crush that locker room. There's a lot of good dudes in there.
Yeah, like it's a 3-win season, and I was hearing the show earlier that you did with Mark, and there are times where players are crying and things are going. There's a lot of emotion being expressed. It never really got to that point. And even with the bad losses, and there were a couple of blowouts, close games where they hurt equally as much, and this Bears locker room, always stayed pretty upbeat, even keeled, kind of like their quarterback Justin Fields, right, does on a daily basis. But I think that is a credit to the culture that was built, with Matt Eberflus kind of building that up. So that is good to see, because I think there were probably opportunities within this season where things could have gone the other direction. It was a good locker room.
He can get away with the culture thing and the laying the foundation for now, and that's fine. And I'm not saying he didn't do it, but that's going to get real old real fast if they don't start winning some games.
Oh, that's year one speak.
Yeah.
You can't be saying the same old next year. So real quickly, guys, when I was like just sitting around this evening, I saw the reports that there are a couple of teams interested in looking at Ian Cunningham to be adding him over to their front offices. I think it's Arizona and Tennessee. The Titans are the two teams right now that have been reported. There may be more coming down the line. And the only comments I see on these, whether I'm going to 50 Facebook groups that I'm in with Greg or what have you, but it's like, oh, do we get a pick out of this? Like a comp pick? Like that's like the number one thing. And I don't think that's the case. Nick, you're already shaking your head no. And I feel like losing Ian Cunningham, the guy that Ryan Poles brought in almost like immediately, like that was his first move as GM. I was like, yeah, I'm bringing in Ian. Like I think that can have a bigger impact in this front office than, a lot of people may just think on the outside, like, oh, he's just an assistant GM. What's that going to do? But he's very well respected both inside Halas Hall, around the entire league. And I do think that could be a big blow to the Bears if he ends up going somewhere else this offseason.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And I think it's 2 seasons, right, that he would need to be with the Bears for the Chicago to actually get a comp pick in return.
So he wouldn't get one this year.
Wouldn't get one. So if he were to leave, the Bears wouldn't get anything in compensation for him leaving, if that is the case. But yeah, that's kind of I guess the details on how that would work. So yeah, it's like that was a big move for him. That was a new position that the Bears hadn't had before. Right, that assistant GM position. So obviously somebody that can help a first-year guy like Ryan Poles now going into year 2. But I think, a year under his belt, and hopefully with, now his staff and everything that he's bringing in, you would obviously it would be a blow to this organization. But I think, Ryan Poles, he's got the big boy shoes now, right? And he's got the number 1 overall pick. He's got some decision he has to make. It does stink, though, that they wouldn't get any compensation if Ian Cunningham were to go somewhere else.
I mean, do I got to do my handiwork again? Do I got to, infiltrate the Bears, unleash Bears Twitter again like we did with Luke Getsy when they had 6 straight games of 30 points a game, and we started doing a jokingly smear campaign against Luke Getsy because we wanted to stay another year for continuity's sake before he goes off to bigger jobs for himself. I mean, I don't want to mess with people's money. But at the same time, if I have to, we will go on there and say Ian Cunningham hates puppies. I will be all over Twitter saying he puts ketchup on his hot dogs, hates puppies. He calls it the Willis Tower. Don't make me do it, Ian, because we want you around for the biggest offseason in Chicago Bears history. He's a part of that Eagles front office that, built what they now are. They had some trade backs that were in the top 10. There's experience there that Ryan Poles can lean on quite a bit. Let's give him a full year to work.
Hold on a second, guys. Will, Nick, let's have a temperature check here, because if ESPN was calling, they were like, Braggs, we need you on our Monday night broadcast, rather. Would it be? Should we go on the Twitter, on the social media, and say, dude, this guy's a complete lunatic. He drinks this. He has a drink that's got algae in it. He's emotionally unhinged. He's just if the Bears lose, you can't talk to him. Whatever. I'm making everything up right now. Everything. You get the point.
Some of it was true.
We wouldn't do that, man. You can't do that.
Of course. I mean, it's all.
But you did it. You did it to Luke Getsy.
No, it was all nothing was a serious personal shot. Hates everyone knows it was tongue in cheek, and it really was a compliment. We had Luke Getsy trending in the United States for 2 days because of our Luke Getsy banter, but it was a term of endearment. What we were doing as fans, it was giving him a compliment of how much he means to us as fans, and then of course we did that, and we kind of jinxed him because then the wheels fell off the wagon, and everybody seemed to place a lot of that blame on Luke Getsy. So, no, of course, I'm not after anyone's money or bigger and better opportunities, but I'll tell you right now, Mark, if ESPN calls my phone tonight and says, we're bringing you on to do playoff coverage, I'm going to say, no, thank you, sir. I'm here with CHGO.
Oh, God, is that what I was doing last night?
Send that tape to Spano. There it is. Look at
Love it.
All right, so we have a couple videos that we're going to show in a moment, but we do have a couple messages that we need to share here before we get to that. I'm going to tell you about DraftKings before Mark tells you about FOCO. The NFL playoff picture is locked in, and my go-to place for wildcard round action is DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off the road to the Super Bowl 57, wow, time flies. New customers can bet just $5 and get 200 in free bets instantly. Plus, all new and existing customers can get a no-sweat bet each day of the wildcard round this weekend. Just place any NFL bet of your choice, and if it loses, you'll get a free bet back up to $10. Action so good, why bet NFL playoffs anywhere else? Of course, I love the app. Super seamless. I love getting to tinker with my same game parlay, getting it just right. One on my tank-a-thon drafts, my special yesterday, right? Having the Bears lose and then the Colts to lose too. That was awesome. Really made the rest of the evening even better. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code CHGO. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL and get 200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
I am so unbelievably excited to talk about the momentum that's going on of the new amazing stadium that we're going to be all enjoying on the lakefront. But first, before we get to that, Chicago, you do have the best coverage for your favorite teams. Get fit in the best sports gear around. FOCO has you covered. Soldier Field to your living room. Get decked out like Justin Fields. Sports merch, collectibles. FOCO's got it for you. They have everything. So the sweet slippers, the signs that Braggs loves, the hoodies, the bobbleheads, everything in between merch, collectibles. FOCO is the place to be. Go to FOCO, FOCO.com, or you can click the link in the description below. All non-presale items. Use that promo code CHGO, and you get yourself 10% off Bears Lakefront.
All right, Will DeWitt, Mark Carman, Nicholas Moreano, and Greg Braggs Jr. here for CHGO Bears After Dark here on this Monday, immediately following the Bears securing that first overall pick. So let's talk about this Soldier Field video that was released earlier. Nick, you put it in Slack, and I thought I was still like just recovering. I was like, what am I watching? Is this Arlington Heights? And oh no, this is a renewed version of Soldier Field, like a proposed plan. If we can pull the video on the screen, I think we made a better version, right? I don't care what version we play, but this one is a little longer, but we can skim through it, see some of like the highlights, because I want to know your thoughts on it. And take it in like the Arlington Heights wasn't happening. Like imagine Arlington Heights hasn't been talked about, and this came out, and Chicago's like, hey, we want to do this to Soldier Field. How would you feel about it? So yeah, we made on CHGO Sports a fixed version of the video, which I thought was really awesome. And as you can tell, we are using Jurassic Park, which I love, by the way, because I showed AJ the original Jurassic Park. Look at that. Greg's not even entertaining it up there.
Watching it on my phone.
It's the greatest place on earth. What? We're not going to watch all the concourses and the trains and all the people and the way better than the stupid ass paddle boats that got going on in Arlington Heights. Let's go. So,
it did look really cool. I'm going to give that. I guess it's because with music being in the video, you could get this video flagged. So that's why we're going to this one. That's a really good call by the producer Joey on that. Got to make sure we're safe here on the videos.
Look at the Veterans Memorial.
Cool.
Look at that place. Seriously. Moreano doing a vlog right there. Are you kidding me?
Yep. Mark, you're in the vlog. You got to watch the Lewis vlog. You're in it. You're on the cover.
I appreciate it.
I mean, I said it on Twitter too. People were asking, what are your thoughts? There's no denying this is an awesome video. Any Bears fan that loves going to Soldier Field, I love going to Soldier Field. Soldier Field's like a second home to me, and we all have, these amazing thoughts of how Arlington Heights can be, but, there's no denying that this is really cool what they did to, potentially renovate this in this way. I think it's funny that fans are like, oh, it being too late, too little, too late. It has nothing to do with the conversation. Just look at what you're looking
Look
at
at
right
that.
now and
Yeah,
tell me
it just
with the
looks so bad.
skyline.
It's got that SoFi feel. That SoFi video board.
There's no question. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of logistic things outside of the stadium that fans would want. Parking a little more accommodating, transit in and out, even if you're not driving. But just the stadium itself. And like I said, I for the fans that go every game, and I understand not every fan's a fan that goes every game, but they know where to park. I always find it funny, like when I go to a concert at Soldier Field, and like Elton John concert, people were like, "Oh, I got in late." Well, you showed up late. You got to get there early. This isn't like going to a restaurant down the street from your house. You're going to Soldier Field. So if you're crying about not getting in through the gate because there's so many people trying to get in, get there early like everyone else does. If you're showing up and they think you're gonna get the red carpet rolled out for you when you walk up to the stadium 3 minutes before a game starts or a concert starts, that's a you problem. So it's as if Arlington Heights, we're all gonna file out of the stadium like in light speed. It's gonna take time to get out of that stadium too. So I understand that the positives of Arlington Heights, but there's no denying how cool that video looked. And if they did it, I'd be in love with it.
Keep preaching.
I know.
Well,
Mark
here's the thing, you guys, too.
I'm starting to, but it's about actually getting it done. And then the big aspect outside of just the look is, would they sell the rights to the damn stadium to the Chicago Bears? That's the big aspect.
That's the big thing. You could do all these renovations, all these cool stuff, indoor and the transportation, but if the Bears aren't making profit, then it's like that's why you're going to Arlington Heights.
Right.
That's exactly why you're going to Arlington Heights.
Sell them the stadium for $1 and let them do this for $10 billion.
No, you listen, you let them buy the land. They can afford it. You make it economically viable to what it's going to cost them in Arlington Heights to stay in Chicago. And then you tax them like anybody else who owns property in the city. And you make this as big of a win-win as you possibly can. That's how this thing should go down. And maybe we are too far down the road, but there's a lot of hurdles that got to get jumped through in Arlington Heights. So the city should make their absolute best pitch and get it out there. And you can't tell. This is a great move, by the way. This has re-energized. Everybody who's watched this video for most of them, pretty cool. Like, this is a good re-energizing. Get Bill Curtis in there. Let's get some grass-fed beef going on, Bill, and let's Mr. Chicago. Let's get the stadium rolling.
And people say, logistically it wouldn't work. Well, go back to when the Chicago put in the bid for the Olympics. They had a whole thing laid out, a whole plan right there on the lakefront for different structures and all this different parking and hotels. They can do it if they really want to do it.
Nobody would have thought that they would have been able to do whatever the ridiculous thing they just did last time would have ever happened, and they did that.
I think Nick just lost some money in the college football championship.
Georgia's scoring like crazy. None of the guys that I bet on are scoring.
There's nothing worse than a championship like this. I mean, TCU's getting their doors blown off. So I'm glad I could hang out with you guys instead of watching this because it's pathetic.
Okay, so if they went that route, though, the only concern I would have is how long would that actually take? Because that's
another huge question.
We saw in 2003 where they had to spend one season down in Champaign. Like,
I'd rather them play at Wrigley. Let them play at Wrigley. Purdue Boilermakers played Northwestern at Wrigley last year. So let's say theoretically they were able to do this.
Also,
go to Wrigley.
Yeah. Well, listen. Not exactly ideal because it's going to be a small.
I want to see the Bears play at Wrigley.
I'm with you. Put them at Wrigley, and the games that they can play at Wrigley, if it didn't work out, they're building a brand new stadium at Northwestern. It's going to be 35,000 seats. They're playing one more year at Ryan Field. Then they're 2 years to put it down. So that's when the lease is up. Put them in there for
half there, half Wrigley.
Yeah, I mean, come on. No more trips down to Champaign. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I went to a game in Champaign that season when they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who eventually went on to win the Super Bowl. It was definitely a bizarre atmosphere.
All right,
look at Mark trying to cover up that yawn. He's getting tired.
My day's just starting, buddy. 9 o'clock, big tennis match tonight. We got dining.
You are a chronic yawner, even when you aren't tired.
No, well,
Is that a breathing issue? I'm not a doctor, but
yeah, no, maybe I'm dying. I
Let's
don't
dive,
know.
Let's dive into
no.
this,
Oh,
Mark.
No, I think honestly, like I was so hyped after yesterday. I got home, whenever I went to bed and didn't sleep well, and then I had TV this morning at 6:30, and then I drove up to Halas and then back down and
You're a busy man. You're a busy
around.
man.
I think I think I probably too many carbs today. I made the Carman home spaghetti that I crushed that down. That's probably not helping. It's pretty good though. I got to tell you, good strong performance over here.
Mark, you wanted us to throw up that Jamaal Williams video to kind of end today's show?
Sure. That was just fun. I don't know if people were you up watching last night, Nick, when Jamaal got interviewed after the Lions beat the Packers. This was emotional, and then he didn't realize that, like, hey Jamaal, showing emotion is strength on national TV, but he had to walk it back. This was kind of amazing for people who missed it. Let's check it out, Joey.
I'm excited to see it for like the third time here today.
And
yeah, I didn't get to see this.
You set the franchise record. You broke Barry Sanders' record. What does that mean to you?
My great grandfather died on me. I just dedicate this to him. I'm just proud. I'm just grateful to do this for him. My grandfather, he was 92, but I'm just grateful for him to be in my life, and I'm grateful to be able to play football and do this for him. So there's a lot of memories, a lot of emotion happening right now, but I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to be able to play this game for my great-grandfather, and I'm glad that he's looking down on me, and I know I'm making him proud.
You said this ball's for him?
Yeah, this is for him. Another thing, stop playing us, man. We the Detroit Lions. Detroit are playing with us. I don't even watch TV, but I heard everybody already pick the Packers over us. Stop playing with us. That's all I gotta say, man. Don't let
That is classic.
It's like, oh my God, I just cried on national TV. I gotta stop this. Like the button went off. Okay, I'm gonna calm it down. I'm gonna get myself back. That's the beauty, by the way, of someone who's actually in touch with their emotions. They can be crying one minute, they're laughing the next. That was awesome. I loved it.
Well,
Jamaal Williams would be awesome to have in the locker room, Mark. Like,
oh my
fantastic. God. He would be amazing because, like, he's into like all this, I guess, stuff that most NFL players aren't into. He's like into Pokemon. He's into Naruto. He puts out like interviews like that all the time. Like, he would be awesome.
He did like the whole intro I saw this morning of like when you do like your little like I am whoever from whatever school. Like he had like the little like hidden headband on from Naruto. I'm a big Naruto guy, by the way. Seen every episode. There's like 700 of those things. Just saying. But it's like one of my favorite like series of all time. And if he was in that locker room, that'll be the only thing I'd ever ask him.
Well, I mean, if you watched Hard Knocks before the season, you saw an emotional moment from Jamaal Williams when he was breaking down the huddle and pleading to his teammates that he was sick of losing like they had been. And he started to cry as he was yelling at his teammates that we need to be better. And he was pleading to them like, I can't take this shit anymore was what he said. And it was a powerful moment. People made fun of him, because, like you said, this bravado thing. As someone that has had plenty of emotional moments in my life, I can appreciate that, showing that emotion. There's no weakness in that. So I had no idea I thought I was doing something, but you guys are doing something. And it was my ADHD kicked in. I was like, what is happening?
No, Mark, what you need to do. There you go.
There you go.
It lights up. You got the same mic.
He turned off his mic.
Yep.
Oh.
And now he's still muted.
Still off.
No, he's
Mark's
still
muted.
Come on.
Mark's muted.
There we go.
I don't know why it turned off.
So you could actually just push the top of it. Like,
there he goes. Bye-bye. And
oh, wow. I'm learning.
Tanking and learning. Learning and tanking.
The Bears will get there next year. All right. Memories.
My gosh. This is great. That's nothing like troubleshooting and also just learning new things on the spot.
Like,
is that like brand new?
I got it. I don't know. I've had it for at least a month, but I didn't realize that I mean, apparently Nick and I are both shopping at Target getting our mics. At least that's where I got this bad boy. And I actually don't love it. I think it's a little echoey, but whatever, it'll do for now.
Oh, if you want to talk mics and you want to talk troubleshooting mics or just like thoughts, you can tell Nick I have been more than picky over the years when it comes to just how microphones and what they sound like.
You've got a lot of knowledge about a lot of things. It's impressive, for real.
I appreciate it. Good at a lot, master of none. Hopefully I can master one thing eventually in life, but we'll get there. No worries. But do you guys have anything else? Is this it? I don't know.
Mark's got a tennis match.
I know. That's why I don't want to hold him up.
No, yeah. I'm just saying I'm looking forward to being with y'all. Appreciate you guys welcoming me tonight, and let's have a great, amazing offseason of dominance. Damn it.
Hell yeah. And if Ian Cunningham leaves, it's impossible. We need him here. No, I'm kidding. Poles can do it, but I would love Ian to stay. Greg, appreciate you, man. Thanks for being here, hanging out per usual. Nick, same to you for hopping on here the second half of the show. But that's going to do it here for tonight's episode. I want to thank everyone who's here watching live, watching the replay. I don't have sunglasses besides literally my baby's pair, so I'll wear them. How about that?
Perfect.
Right? It works. They're sitting here. I don't know why, but these are for the infant. They are not for me. I should not stretch them out so much. But I want to just make sure that everyone rates and reviews our show over on Apple Podcasts. We'll love to hear your thoughts there about our show and just celebrate the Bears getting the number one pick. If you haven't reviewed our show yet and left one, just talk about how excited you are about this offseason. Looking forward to all of our content. I would love to hear it. And of course, head over to allchgo.com/diehard to learn all about our diehard experience and why you should join that program and become a CHGO diehard. But that's going to do it for us. We'll see you soon, and I'll see you on Friday. But until then, bear down, Chicago.